Hey, good morning, folks, or good afternoon, depending where you're at. I'm France Hong, and welcome to today's session on Introduction to Collaborative Gen AI. Um, Thanks for being part of this. If you want, I'm going to put the group chat link into the Zoom chat here. And if you click on that, you can join in. We're going to use that as part of today's session for those who want. And feel free to introduce yourself and where you're from. Welcome, folks. I am France Hong. I am one of the founders and the CEO of Boodle AI, the makers of Boodlebox. And over the next 30 minutes, we're going to basically inject generative AI directly into our veins. Give you a quick introduction to generative AI, why it matters and how it works, and then talk through our 6-step method for using generative AI and getting the most out of it. And then we'll finish up with where you can learn more. So this is meant to be interactive. If you've got questions anywhere along the way, feel free to drop them into the group chat or feel free to drop them into the chat itself, and we'll get to them. And we'll leave some time for Q&A at the end as well. We've actually got 45 minutes today. Okay, just a little about us. So Boodle AI, we've been around for a while. We've been doing AI before AI was cool. We know what it takes for organizations and teams to adopt AI. We know all the pain points and the gain points. And so we're going to pass it on to you. And we've developed this method for using generative AI that we know works for individuals and for teams. And we're going to cover those steps today. So, okay, let's just dive right into it, right? So what is generative AI? Generative AI is a type of artificial intelligence that allows the creation of new and original content, right? And so the key word here being new and original content. And that can include text or images or videos. And this is what makes it different than other AIs. In the AIs in the past, they were good at predicting things or describing things, but they weren't really capable of generating new things. That's what is different about generative AI, right? And hence the name generative AI. And that's why it's super exciting and why people are very much enamored with it. Okay, so why does generative AI matter? So in just a soundbite, right? It allows you to save time, do more, and achieve better results. So before the world of generative AI, if you wanted to get something done, you had to do it all yourself, right? You had to either do it yourself or delegate it to someone or find a way to get a team to do it for you. But here with generative AI, right? That's no longer the case. So with generative AI, we're living in a world where for a little bit of work at the beginning, a prompt here, right? You get a lot out of it. You get a 70 or 80% solution. And that 70 or 80% solution you can get within minutes. But it's not 100%, right? It still requires a human being to put in that last little bit. And that last little bit, right, that last 20 to 25% is what takes something from being a B, B plus to being an A, A plus. But instead of having to do all of this, right, you just have to do this much, and you get 100%. And so the power of generative AI is the ability to do more in less time, or to do a lot more in the same amount of time you have available. And in doing so, really produce a better job. Because this first part, right, is generally the drudgery of whatever work you're trying to do. And really, where you add value is this last little part, right? That polish, that flourish, where you bring your expertise and experience in. And so using the combination of an AI to do this part and then a human to do this part really produces a different way of working, right? And there's been this comment like, hey, is AI coming for our jobs? No, I don't think you have to worry about AI coming for your job. But you know what you do have to worry about is your colleague or your competitor or another professional coming in and out competing you because they are using AI. So, Erin, welcome.
I've been here. I was just a little technical difficulty getting my face on screen. Welcome,
Okay, no
everybody.
worries.
We're great to have you.
Yeah, do you want to introduce yourself, Erin?
Sure. I'm Erin Carney. I am our Vice President of Success here at Boodle. So all of the emails and updates and blog posts come from my team. So we're really excited to have you and let you learn a little bit more.
Right. Okay, so how does generative AI work? So generative AI works by using algorithms, right? And it creates content based on patterns and examples. And the most common type of generative AI is large language models. So they take large amounts of text data, right? And they learn the patterns and structures of that language, and that allows them to understand and generate human language. And so basically it takes like the entire Wikipedia or all of the internet. And by analyzing the patterns that exist in that, it can then predict what should come after. So you can ask it a question like, what is generative AI? And it basically comes up with the next sequence of words and letters that it believes are the right response. And in doing so, it produces something that feels absolutely magical. Okay, so let's dive into how to use generative AI the Boodle way. So this is our 6-step process for using generative AI. We're going to go through each step one by one and give you examples as well. And by the way, you don't need to take notes. After this session, you're going to get an email. It's going to have this slide deck in it. It's going to have a copy of this recording. It's going to have a copy of these materials for you, as well as all the links. So you can just kind of sit back and just take it all in, play this back later at half speed if you want. Okay, how to use generative AI the Boodle way. So the very first thing you want to start off with is making sure you use the right use cases. There are things that generative AI is good for. There are things where it's not so great, okay? So we have a list of 12 things that we think generative AI is a really good mix for. That's that list over here. And we're going to go through those one at a time, really quickly though. Okay, first, generative AI is really great for ideation. That's generating new ideas or suggestions. So I think we've all had the experience of looking at a blank sheet of paper and trying to get started. Generative AI can be a huge friend for you in that case. You can basically ask it to come up with a set of ideas. Those ideas are not going to be all great, just like most of our ideas aren't great, but they're a great way to kickstart the brain, okay? So you can see here in this example, we're asking it to generate 10 alternatives to a vendor's assembles, and we're giving it some instructions, and it does so. By the way, in this presentation, you will see at the bottom here some bots. In Boodlebox, there's hundreds of bots that have different abilities and different specialties. I'm not going to go through those in this presentation, but when you go back to the slide deck, if for each of these use cases, we list bots that would be good potential matches for that particular task. So you can go back through and take a look at those. Okay, summation. Being a large language models do great at taking large amounts of text and summarizing them. So you can take an entire resume and ask it to write a 200-word summary, right? You can upload an entire journal to the knowledge bank of Boodlebox and ask it, hey, is there anywhere where my company is mentioned? Or is there anywhere that has this set of ideas? And it'll search through and it'll summarize for you. So it's a great way to analyze documents and absorb information. Revision. Just because generative AI produces something doesn't mean that's the final result, and you don't certainly have to take it. You can ask generative AI to revise anything. So, if you ask it to produce a draft of a biography and you don't like the way the biography is written, you can just tell it, hey, I want it shorter, I want it longer, I want it more formal, I want you to add a sentence about this or whatever. So I tend to think of generative AI almost like a super eager but naive intern. It will literally do anything you want over and over again, but it doesn't know anything unless you tell it, right? And it doesn't know what you want. So as long as you take the time to give it the right prompt, right? Give it instructions, it'll do its best to accomplish what you ask it to do. Translation. So being a large language model, it's not just limited to English. All of the major models, including my favorite Claude 3 Opus, which is the default model behind our assistants in Boodlebox, are capable of working in multiple languages. So you can use it natively in a different language. You can also use it to translate from one language to another. And it can do so in a very nuanced way, right? You can ask it to use, Mexican Spanish versus like Spanish, right? Or you can use it to use a certain dialect when you're translating. Pretty incredible. Okay, research. So there's a little bit of a caveat here. The large language models, the major ones, OpenAI's GPT-4 or Claude 3 Opus, these general purpose models, they're very powerful. They do a lot of things well. They're also limited because they're trained up to a certain amount of information, and that's all they know. So for example, Claude 3 Opus only knows information up to like July of 2023. if you ask it for something outside of that date, it won't be able to answer, right? Or at best, or at worst, it'll hallucinate. What you want to do is use the right tool for the right job. So if you're asking some general questions about knowledge that's well known, you can use a general model, right? You can use a GenBot. If you want current information, you need to use what's called a WebBot. And you can see an example here. WebBots are tied to the internet, and they will they will go out to the internet, bring back information, and summarize it for you. And so, as we talked about earlier, generative AI produces an 80% solution. I would never use anything from generative AI without double checking it. If you want 100% accuracy, that accuracy has to come from you, not from the large language models. They have a tendency to do what's called hallucinate, which is just basically a fancy way to say straight up lying to your face, right? Like they'll just make up stuff sometimes. And so one of the things I tell people is if you can't get an A+ without generative AI, you're not going to get an A+ only using generative AI. It at best produces an 80% solution. Recommendations. You can ask generative AI to give you recommendations. So whether you're looking for a gift, a toy, a book, a restaurant, a strategy, a tactic, you can feed that into a large language model, suggest 5 whatever, and here's the things I care about. And it will generate a list for you. And this is great, right? Because it's one of those things, recommendations, analyses, these types of soft types of use cases are really playing to generative AI's strength, because an 80% solution is fine. You're looking for a directionally way to get started, and you can supply the last 20%. Evaluation or analysis. So this is related to recommendations, but you can ask generative AI to evaluate the results, a list, whatever, based on your criteria, right? So take this essay and evaluate for me based on readability, prose, and use of grammar, whatever, right? And it'll do that analysis for you. And so the large language models are really good at that type of analysis, right? I have a marketing campaign. Evaluate this for its ability to influence a LinkedIn audience. It'll absolutely do that. Sentiment. The large language models are good at analyzing sentiment. You can give it a transcript and say, hey, pull out the 5 themes from this transcript, or here's a document I drafted for a blog post. What do you think of the tone and tenor of it? And how do you think a reader that has, an affluent middle-class background will react to the article? It will give you its reaction. And there's a number of people who use generative AI models as essentially almost like a focus group by having it take on different roles in doing that. Problem solving. This is one of my favorite use cases. I'm a bit of an Excel geek. I love solving a good Excel problem. Frankly, I don't do it much anymore because I've got generative AI. So I can fire up Boodle bots. There are bots that do particular types of problem solving, like Excel or Google Sheets. And I can tell it, hey, this is the way my Google Sheets is set up. Here's the column names. I'm trying to write a formula that does X, Y, and Z, and it'll spit out the right formula for me. Or conversely, I've written a formula, it's not working. Here's the formula, Excel bot, tell me what's wrong with it. And it'll diagnose the formula. So, and this goes not just with Excel, but really any real world problem you're trying to solve, going to a large language model and be like, hey, generate a potential solution for this problem, explain it step by step. It'll generate an answer for you. Okay, content generation is probably the most well-known use case for generative AI. It can create content for just about anything you imagine, right? Now, there are 2, I think, challenges with using generative AI for content creation. The first is that generative AI, not surprisingly, tends to sound like AI when it generates things. The newer models like Claude 3 Opus tend to do a better job of that. But it can sound a little AI-ish, right? Like, for whatever reason, ChatGPT loves to use the word delve. Like, if the word delve appears, you pretty much know it's ChatGPT generated. The other problem is 2 different people who use the same model and provide the same prompt, the responses are going to sound kind of the same. They're not going to be identical, but they're going to be the same. And so for people who are creating content that want original content, that can be a problem, right? We overcome that a couple different ways. And by using the Boodle way, you will avoid that problem. We'll talk about how here in just a second. Learning assistants. If you're learning something new, generative AI is your friend. You can ask it to either help you teach something. Hey, Boodlebox, I am trying to learn about, classical music in the Middle Ages. Can you give me a 200-word primer? And it will do that. It can also help you developing a learning path, right? I want to learn about classical music in the Middle Ages in depth, and I've got 30 days to do it, and I'm willing to spend 15 minutes a day. Suggest a learning path, and it'll spit out a learning path for you. The last use case I'll talk about, and one of the ones that I think is most powerful but least used, is role playing or Q&A. That's giving generative AI a role, right? Now take on the role of a chief marketing officer, take on the role of a potential customer, take on the role of my boss, and then engaging in a back and forth conversation where it's a sounding board. It does a fantastic job of that, and we have engineered Boodlebox to be really good at this particular role. And in fact, there is a bot called Character Bot that will take on any character role you give it. So you can literally be like, I don't know, I want you to be an artificially generated musician from the 19th century to talk about classical music, and it'll take on that role. Okay, those are great uses of generative AI. Let's talk about use cases that aren't so great. The first is the analysis of structured data. So unstructured data, right? Papers, words, reports. Generative AI does great. Structured data, Excel spreadsheets, tables, charts. Generative AI is starting to get better, and in some cases it can handle that, but it still struggles because of the way the large language models are constructed. So for the most part, if you want to analyze structured data, you pretty much need to use a data analyst. You can do some analysis in a generative AI platform, but it's not really the strong suit. Secondly, if you're looking for real-time data as well, so we talked about using web bots. Make sure if you are looking for real-time answers, current events, you use a web bot. The general bots with the foundation models, their data is just going to be outdated. The third use case that isn't great is as a data researcher. I sometimes see people try to ask generative AI to do something like research for me all potential clients in St. Louis, Missouri, for a aviation company running a business that targets ultra high net worth individuals. Well, that's a tough task for a human being. That's really a task for what we call an AI agent, which are coming. In fact, we're building some right now, but we're not quite there yet. Your kind of research requests have to be much more limited. You got to do it one step at a time. You can't combine in like 7 steps and ask AI to do it. It just won't do it at this point. I'll mention it again, right? AI is not 100% accurate. It's not designed to be. It's not supposed to be. They're getting better. If you use our web bots, my favorite Perplexity, it will give you a link at the bottom so you can go check the source and authenticity information. But we really, if something comes out of a generative AI platform, you definitely need to trust and verify because they do hallucinate. Something I see some people do sometimes is try to talk to image bots like chat bots. Image bots, they turn text to images. That's all they do. So if you want to get text output, you got to talk to a different bot. Now you can go to like Claude 3 and say, give me a prompt for a picture of a 19th century classical musician and take that prompt and stick it in the image bot, but you can't ask the image bot to do it itself. Lastly, graphs, charts, and slides. There are platforms that are focusing in on these use cases. That's not we haven't built in those technologies and AI models into our platform yet, though we're headed that way. But graphs, charts, and slides still are not the best application of generative AI. Okay, let's talk about the next thing. So the next step, if you've got the right use case, you want to make sure that you opt for the right model or bot. So let's just jump on over to Boodlebox, and you can see here, right, that inside Boodlebox, we've got hundreds of assistants. So I just clicked in the bot garage, and in the bot garage, you can scroll down and see hundreds and hundreds of AI assistants. All the basic models are available, right? ChatGPT, Claude 3. We've got third-party models like Perplexity. We've got models that can search the internet. Those are the web bots. You can filter any of these at any time by typing in a word. Like here I am typing in GenBot, and it'll show me all the GenBots. I can type in nonprofit and see all the nonprofit related bots. But That's a lot to remember. So we created a system so you don't have to remember that at all. What you want to do is just simply type what you want to do in the chat bar. So the chat bar is down here. You can start a new chat by clicking up here in the new chat button. That takes you down to the chat bar right here. And so all you need to do is type what you want to do. So I want to write a social media post. And you notice as I type, we have an engine that recommends the right AI assistant to do that job. And here you can see that the platform has taken what I wrote and is recommending a social media bot, which is awesome. That's super appropriate. So if I select the bot here, it's now selected, and I can enter that prompt by clicking the arrow key or just clicking enter. If I want to deselect the bot, I just have to click that little X right there. Right there. And that deselects the bot. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do that now. There's two other ways to select bots. One is to click on the Boodlebox icon. And if I do that, it shows me a list of every bot in the system. And then I can scroll down the list and select any bot I want. The other thing I can do is in the chat bar, just type @ and then any word I want. And it'll filter all the bots that have that word in their name or description. So if I want to write something, I can type @write and see all the right bots. If I want to do a letter, I could do @letter. So it's a great way to quickly filter. But let's go back to our original example, which is I want to write a social media post. If I like a bot, I can favorite it. I can just favorite it by clicking on that little heart right there. When I favorite a bot, it then appears in my favorites up in the top left over here and is easily accessible to me. It also then appears at the top of the list when I click on the Boodlebox icon. And so you can see here it is right there. So that is bots. Oh, one more thing. If you want to explore bots, anytime you see a bot avatar or what we call a bot alias, you can click on it and it'll take you to the bot page. And there's lots of great things here on the bot page. You can see, you can start a chat by clicking here. You can share the bot by clicking here and grabbing the link. You can read a description of the bot down here. You can favorite the bot here as well. And over on the right-hand side, you can see how other people are using the bot. So a great way to explore around. Let's go ahead and go back. So I want to write a social media post, and I'm going to select this bot here. Okay, so that is how to opt for the right bot. So if you use Boodlebox, it's easy. Let the system recommend the right bot for you. Make sure you use web bots for web research, gen bots for generation, image bots for imaging. You can always get recommendations there too. One other thing you may want to try is help bot. So if you go @help, it'll bring up a help bot and you can ask it anything. What bot should I use for planning a dinner party for my 6-year-old? Or does Boodlebox does whatever? And help bot will help answer that question for you. Okay, so the next step is to orchestrate prompting. So prompting is important because obviously it's how we tell the bots what we want them to do. There's a belief, among a lot of folks that you need to become what we call prompt engineer, which is learning how to prompt a particular way. That, while you certainly can become a prompt engineer, it's not required to use Boodlebox. So when you select a bot in Boodlebox, whether from favorites, whether from the bot garage or in the chat bar itself, our bots will start asking you questions. So you can see it right here. It's asking me what social network I'd like to create a post for. And so you don't need to be a prompt engineer. In our platform, the bots prompt you. You don't have to prompt the bots. So in line with our belief that AI should work for humans, humans shouldn't have to work for AI. So I'm going to go ahead and answer its question. I want the post to go on LinkedIn about the incredible attendees about today's introduction to collaborative training or in this chat. So go ahead and answer that question. So it's now asking me some additional questions. So they are all amazing users of BoodleBox from around the world. Okay, so now it's just drafting a post based on the chat we have going. Okay, so the next step, you want to draw from your knowledge. So knowledge is documents, it's websites, it's anything that you know. This is really powerful because as we talked about, generic AI is just that, it's generic, right? But once you add your knowledge, it goes from being generic to being personalized. And that is the difference between night and day in terms of getting useful results. So in the platform, up in the top right, you'll see this little paperclip right here. And that is how you add knowledge to a chat. So you just click on it, and then you have the ability to upload any text-based file. And then when you select the file, like I'm about to do, and hit save, that adds that document to the chat as knowledge. So you can see now up here that this up here now has this document as added to knowledge in that chat. And what that means is every bot and every person in the chat now has access to knowledge. And if I ask it questions, it will use that knowledge to answer questions. So this is really powerful. You can upload writing samples of your writing. You can upload reports. You can upload documents that are templates, and it will use that knowledge. You can upload entire books, right? Articles, work papers, all those documents, once uploaded, are available in that chat and in that chat only. But they are all saved up here in the knowledge bank. So if you click on the brain, you'll see this is all the documents I've ever uploaded. The uploaded documents can be attached to future chats. The uploaded documents are also securely stored. So we never share them with any third party. They are stored in a vector database that we control. So you don't have to worry about those documents ever being used to train a model. We don't train models, or falling into the hands of a third party. So now that I have this document uploaded, I can use it. So I'm going to go ahead and ask this bot now, rewrite the above using the attached knowledge. And so now that I've invoked the knowledge, it's going to bring in that knowledge. I just uploaded hundreds of pages of information about BoodleBox, and now it's rewriting it, bringing in more information about BoodleBox. Okay, great. Okay, next step in the Boodle way, leveraging multiple AIs. So just like a human team is better than any one individual, a team of AIs is better than a solitary AI. And so BoodleBox makes that easy. We can actually bring in multiple AIs into the same conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect this bot, and I'm going to search for a different bot. In fact, I'm going to bring in a marketing officer. And I'm going to ask that chief marketing officer, what do you think of the above draft post? And so now I have a second AI critiquing the work of the first AI. So I have a team of AIs that are working for me to make the product better. And this is awesome. So different AIs have different strengths and weaknesses. By using multiple AIs, you can benefit from all the strengths, mitigate the weaknesses, different AIs taking on different roles. It's just like work. It's like having your own human team of different specialists doing different things. And so you can see here, here's the chief marketing officer's critique of the work done by the other AI, which is pretty cool. Okay, the last step. So this has been great, but this is still kind of a lonely process. I'm just talking to a bunch of AIs. So in BoodleBox, the last step that we think that is really important is engaging human collaboration, because ultimately we work with other humans, we work with other people. We believe that humans are as important, in fact, more important than the AIs in the conversation. And so we enabled something pretty cool called group chatting. And so up here in the top right-hand corner is this little link. And when you click on it, it copies the link to the clipboard. And that's the link that you all clicked on when you joined the group chat. And it's the link that Aaron joined. And in fact, this is a new chat. So let me go ahead and add Aaron into this. So Aaron, I'm going to post this in Slack for you. So when Aaron clicks on that link, she'll be in. So hello. And so now Aaron and I can chat together. She can make comments. I can ask her questions. What do you think about the above? How would you change it? So I'll wait for Aaron to give her 2 cents in. Okay. Can you rewrite Aaron's suggestion? So notice what I'm doing here. I'm pulling in a bot. I'm asking it to refer to what Aaron said and rewrite the document. And then it does so. It's writing a more concise version. And if Aaron wanted to, she could have prompted the bots directly. And so what you're seeing here is true human AI knowledge collaboration. It's multiple people, multiple AIs, sources of knowledge, all working together in a way that to accomplish something faster, better, and easier than you would alone. And so this is really the power of collaborative Gen AI. And if you follow these steps, begin with the right use cases, opt for the right model or bot, orchestrate your prompting, draw from your knowledge, leverage multiple AIs, and engage in human collaboration, you're going to get phenomenal results, better results than you would if you didn't follow these steps. Okay, what do you do if you don't get the results you want? First, refresh your browser. Sometimes it's a SaaS platform. Sometimes things get stuck. Hit that F5, refresh your browser, see if that clears it up. You may want to try a different prompt. One of the things you can do in Boodlebox for any response that you write, up here is 3 little dots. When you click on that, it gives you the option of copying that message to clipboard or deleting the message. So if you don't like a response, you can just delete it and try something else. You can try a different bot. Experiment around. Try a different bot, try a different model. Phone a friend using group chat. Grab that group chat link, send it to somebody else, say, hey, I'm trying to do something and it's not working. Can you check this out for me? You can also email the Boodle success team. We'll provide you that email. We love hearing from you. Users do occasionally find the bug that's still sitting out there in the system. Maybe you discovered a bug. We'd love for you to tell us. Lastly, you can provide feedback in the platform. So there's a couple ways to do that. In any chat, you can click on the leave feedback button here. Give us a happy face or a smiley face and some comments. You can also go up here, click on resources. There's a feedback button here. They'll give you a form and you can provide us some feedback. Okay, what should we do next, right? First, try adding some knowledge. We're going to share with you a template for a My Preferences sheet. I have one of these. It's everything about me. It's my bio. It's information on family. It's about my likes and dislikes. It's about how my writing style and how I prefer answers. And I attach it to every chat. And I basically get like personalized results, right? The bot is like, hey, France, I know you prefer bullet points in Japanese food. Here's a bunch of bullet points about sushi, right? Like, it's incredible. Second, explore the bots. You can do that in the chat bar. You can do that in the bot garage, but go explore the chats and see what they can do. Have conversations with them. All you have to do is say hello to a bot or start a chat with a bot in the bot garage, and it'll introduce itself and it'll tell you what it can do. Share what you learn. If you find bots you like, share them. If you got use cases, use that group chat link. Share the use cases you discover with other folks in your team or colleagues, other professionals you know. And finally, we really encourage you to collaborate in group chats. It's a great experience. It's fun. It's interesting, and you learn a lot. I love engaging in group chats and solving problems. Not only is it collaborative, but I learn from other people. I see how they use Boodlebox in ways that are different than me, and I pick up use cases and techniques all the time. Okay, where to learn more? There's that email address for Boodle.ai. We have a resource hub. If you click there, you can see all the resources we made available, lots of great articles. We've got a quick start guide. If you click there, you can see these walkthrough super demos that you click, and it will take you step by step through every single part of the platform. We've got a community on Discord called the Boodle Town. You can click there and take a look at it. And finally, while this is really focused on kind of the beginner use of generative AI, if you're thinking about adopting this as an organization, you may want to check out the Gen AI Playbook by Jim Stern. And there's a link to that article here. Okay, we've got about 8 minutes left. I am happy to open this up to questions at this point. So feel free to drop something in the group chat or to raise your hand or, yeah, however, get a hold of us, and love to answer any questions folks may have. Okay, I guess we don't have any questions today. You can always reach out to us at Success or in platform. Thanks for joining today's training. Thanks for being part of the Boodlebox community. Keep doing amazing things, and hope you see you at some of the future sessions. Thank you.